allies at war in Kerala. Full-blown Rahul versus Vijayan fight. Kerala Chief Minister attacks Rahul once again.
Narendra Modiയെയും സിഖ് പരിവാറിനെയും നേരിട്ട് എതിർക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുന്ന പോലുമില്ല.
Rahul fires at the Kerala CM.
Two chief ministers are in jail. How come none of this is happening to the chief minister of Kerala? I am 24/7 attacking the BJP. And the chief minister of Kerala is 24/7 attacking me.
Our frenemy contest hurting the India bloc nationally. Ally versus ally in Kerala.
Good evening, Namaskaram. You're joining us live here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. Our Election Express now will be focusing on Kerala. I couldn't unfortunately make my pit stop in Kerala, so we've brought Yenda Keralam to us here in the studio. Now, as we count down to polling day in Kerala, every day at 6 p.m. I'll be getting you all the updates you need to know on the big political battle that's playing out in the beautiful state of Kerala. Today, we're going to be talking about the showdown, the war of words between the allies turned foes in Kerala, between Rahul Gandhi and Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan. We'll also be getting you some very, very interesting data that sets the stage for phase 2, that sets the stage for polling in the state of Kerala. Let's begin this broadcast with the headlines. Big showdown over Prime Minister Modi's infiltrator remark. Congress delegation moves EC against Modi. Sources say Kharge seeks meeting with Prime Minister Modi to present him the manifesto copy. BJP opens its Lok Sabha tally in Gujarat, Surat. BJP candidate wins unopposed after Congress candidate's nomination is cancelled and independents then withdraw. Congress cries foul, claims BJP match fixing. Outrage over the shocking Hubballi stabbing in Karnataka rages on. BJP holds statewide protests over deteriorating law and order. Victim's father alleges love jihad. Siddaramaiah government transfers investigation to CID. Big setback for the Mamata Banerjee government. Calcutta High Court cancels 2016 job panel for teachers recruitment. CBI to continue probe in scam, given free hand to arrest any accused. Legal war over Kejriwal's health continues. Delhi court denies doctor video consult for the chief minister. Says a special AIMS panel will decide on Kejriwal's insulin request. And let's begin with breaking news that's coming in right now. Some much needed support for the BJP in Kerala. Now, the BJP has been making attempts to kind of reach out to churches in Kerala, knowing full well the need for the Christian vote bank to come over to their side. And that's why now, in a big boost for the BJP, believers of the Eastern Church have announced that they're providing support to BJP candidate Anil Antony, who, remember, has been fielded in Pathanamthitta. After a detailed meeting that took place in the constituency, the church has confirmed, more than 100 priests and believers were there for that meeting. The church has confirmed publicly that all its support will be given to Anil Antony. Let's take this across to Shibi Mole for more details. Shibi, good evening. Several attempts by the BJP in the last few months to reach out to the Christian community, with believers of the Eastern Church now confirming publicly that they are backing the BJP, particularly Anil Antony in Pathanamthitta. What is the impact this will have? What is the kind of ground they have, the support that they have in Kerala?
Well, Akshita, like you rightly pointed out, we have seen this massive outreach to the Christian community in Kerala by the BJP since the last 1.5 years, especially during festivals like the Easter. Even this time also we saw that. It kind of took a backseat during the Manipur crisis with a lot of churches who kind of, indirectly, raised support, rendered support to BJP, taking a U-turn. But this time, we're seeing this for the first time, a church openly coming out and saying that we are going to support the BJP candidate in Pathanamthitta. The church is influential in that particular area, not really across the state. But in that particular area, it definitely is pretty strong there. So it is definitely positive for the BJP because they have been having this outreach they have been taking out this outreach to the Christian community since a while. So finally there is some result, some positive outcome out there, because earlier we've seen priests in particular, personally giving out their opinion and saying that we do extend our support to BJP, or there should be, that the time has come when we should see beyond the left and the Congress in Kerala. So that we've seen from the priest side individually, but as a community, as a church, this is the first time that we are seeing a church coming out in support of the BJP in that constituency. But again, Pathanamthitta is a stronghold of the Congress party for many.
Yeah, so Pathanamthitta, stronghold of the Congress. The optics are important of a church backing the BJP, but beyond that, doesn't look like it'll really have a sizable impact to turn things around in BJP's favour, even in a seat like Pathanamthitta. Thanks very much, Shibi, for joining us with all of those details. Now, if you look at Kerala and the numbers, really, let's just quickly run you through, in fact, what we saw in 2019 when Kerala voted. Why is it that this is largely considered to be a UDF versus LDF battle? And it's very interesting to really study how Kerala votes, because they vote very differently in an assembly election and very differently in a general election. First of all, of course, if you talk about church support for the BJP, the NDA, this is a challenge for the BJP. They've never managed to open their account ever in Kerala. They've never had a member of parliament from Kerala in parliament. So that's an important highlight. And the BJP is trying to make inroads right now. But last time around too, the NDA got 0 seats. It was in fact the UDF that triumphed. As you see there in the breakdown, we've broken it down as Congress, the IUML, CPM, and also the other parties here, because these are essentially the big players. You had the Congress with 15 seats. It was a sweep really by the UDF in all. The IUML, if we break that down further, was at 2 seats. The CPM got 1. If you look at it in the assembly elections, it will be the CPM essentially that dominates versus the Congress, at least in the last assembly election. But whenever it comes to a general election, there is the factor of who is the national party involved, and that goes in the UDF's favour. This time around too, we'll have to see exactly how this largely two-way battle between the UDF and LDF pans out. There are some seats where the BJP is trying hard to make this a three-way battle. And let's take a look at some of the big faces. Of course, everyone is talking about that battle in North Kerala, in Wayanad, because you've got Rahul Gandhi contesting for a second time from Wayanad. This time, however, he is facing off against Annie Raja. In Wayanad, the left also is in backing off. This is a seat that's been given to the CPI, and the CPI has fielded Annie Raja. It's her electoral debut, but she's saying that I'm a local here and that's going to work out in my favour. Now, it's going to be an interesting battle because the BJP has said that we're not shying away from a tough fight. We're going to take this to Rahul Gandhi in Wayanad, which is why their face in Kerala, the BJP Kerala chief, K. Surendran, has been fielded. But does that make it a tough battle really for Rahul Gandhi? Well, the BJP factor, not so much. It's more about the messaging that, look, our big gun will be fielded from Wayanad, because K. Surendran has never really tasted electoral victory ever, despite having contested multiple times. The other big seats to watch out for: K.C. Venugopal, who's contesting from Alapura. Rahul Gandhi was to campaign there today, has called off his rallies, considering that he has taken ill and is based right now in Delhi. Then you've got Anil Antony, who turned over from the Congress to the BJP. He's been fielded by the Bharatiya Janata Party in Pathanamthitta. A challenging seat for him because this is considered to be a Congress bastion. So he's going to have to overcome that and create his presence in Pathanamthitta. Let's talk about V. Muralidharan, the union minister. He's been fielded from Athingal, and he's seen a very, very interesting battle, a very interesting campaign, because the BJP has brought all of their union ministers to Athingal to campaign for V. Muralidharan as well. Now, Thiruvananthapuram, and I know everyone's been talking about this battle. You've got Rajiv Chandrasekhar fielded there by the BJP. They've decided that they're going to take the fight to Shashi Tharoor in this constituency. It's Tharoor's stronghold. He's won several times from this constituency. He's looking for another consecutive term. Can Rajiv Chandrasekhar actually stop Shashi Tharoor in Thiruvananthapuram? There's an interesting data point also on why Thiruvananthapuram, why the BJP is looking to make inroads there. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But let's focus on the big headline that's emerged from Kerala today, or rather has been dominating headlines for the last many days. I'm talking about the all-out fight between the Congress and the left. Allies outside of Kerala, all-out rivals in the state of Kerala. So much so that Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and Rahul Gandhi haven't held back, attacking each other constantly. And the latest came from the Kerala Chief Minister when he said that Rahul Gandhi is scared of taking on the BJP in the north, and that's why he's settled for a seat in Wayanad.
Why is none of this happening to the Chief Minister of Kerala? Why is his membership not being taken away?
Rift within India bloc is out and open. Fireworks in Kerala as Congress leader Rahul Gandhi and Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan are locked in a heated exchange of words. What started as a spat has now turned into a full-fledged confrontation. Pinarayi Vijayan has once again targeted Rahul Gandhi for contesting from Wayanad and claimed that nation cannot accept anything from him as he cannot fight the RSS and the BJP in the north.
ഒളിച്ചോടിയാണ് വയനാട്ടിലെത്തി രണ്ടാം തവണയും രാഹുൽ ഗാന്ധി മത്സരിക്കുന്നു. പ്രധാന എതിരാളിയെന്ന് അദ്ദേഹം അവകാശപ്പെടുന്ന നരേന്ദ്രമോദിയെയും സംഘപരിവാറിനെയും നേരിട്ട് എതിർക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുന്നു പോലുമില്ല.
Vijayan had earlier reminded the Congress leader that he was jailed during the emergency ordered by Indira Gandhi.
നിങ്ങളെ മുത്തശ്ശിയില്ലേ ഈ രാജ്യത്താകെ അടക്കി വാണിരുന്ന കാലം, അവരായിരുന്നു ഞങ്ങളെയൊക്കെ പിടിച്ച് ജയിലിലിട്ടത്. ഇപ്പൊ ജയിലിൽ നിന്ന് കേട്ടാൽ നിങ്ങളെ അശോക് ചവാനെ പോലെ അയ്യോ എനക്ക് അങ്ങോട്ട് പോകാൻ കഴിയില്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്നവരല്ല കേട്ടാ.
Vijayan's scathing attack comes in the backdrop of frequent snipping by Rahul and other Congress leaders alleging collusion between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chief Minister.
Why is none of this happening to the Chief Minister of Kerala? Why is his membership not being taken away? Why is he not being interrogated by the ED, CBI and all these? Two Chief Ministers are in jail. How come none of this is happening to the Chief Minister of Kerala?
Have you ever thought about it? His name came up in so many scams, Life Mission and gold scam and so many scams. But how come Mr. Narendra Modi's government, the BJP government, never put cases on him, never did any raids on him, no action has been taken on him?
The war between the two India allies began when Vijayan cornered Rahul over the Granole Party silence on the Citizenship Amendment Act.
രാഹുൽ ഗാന്ധി നിങ്ങൾക്കെതിരെ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു കാര്യം ഇവിടെയാണ്. നിങ്ങളൊരു യാത്ര നടത്തിയല്ലോ. ആ യാത്രയിൽ നിങ്ങൾ രാജ്യത്തും ലോകത്തുമുള്ള എല്ലാ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും സംസാരിച്ചല്ലോ. പൗരത്വ നിയമ ഭേദഗതിയെക്കുറിച്ച് എന്തെങ്കിലും അഭിപ്രായം പറഞ്ഞോ? എന്തേ നിങ്ങൾ അഭിപ്രായം പറയാതിരുന്നത്?
I am 24/7 attacking the BJP. And the Chief Minister of Kerala is 24/7 attacking me. He says he's fighting ideological battle against the BJP. But I know the BJP, because when you fight ideological battle against the BJP, they attack you with everything they have.
The Congress and the CPM, allies at the national level, are in a direct fight in all 20 constituencies of Kerala. Bureau Report, India Today.
So we've been seeing a whole lot of this back and forth between the left and the Congress, between Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and Rahul Gandhi. One would think that they'd hesitate to attack one another, but that's most definitely not the case. Their harshest criticism is actually reserved for each other. But I also want to get you some of the highlights of what Prime Minister Modi has had to say in the course of his campaign about this kind of a fight that's being witnessed between otherwise allies.
उनके अलायंस के साथी भी एक दूसरे को गालियां दे रहे हैं। कल आपने उनके एक साथी केरल के मुख्यमंत्री ने जो शाहजादे को सुनाई है, मैं भी कभी ऐसी भाषा नहीं बोलता, वो ऐसी भाषा बोली है उन्होंने साथी को, ये हाल है उनका।
इन्होंने अवसरवादी इंडी अलायंस बना लिया है, उसकी पतंग उड़ने से पहले ही कट गई है। कहने को तो गठबंधन है, लेकिन अब हालत देखिए, कई राज्य हैं जहां एक गठबंधन वाले ही आपस में लड़ रहे हैं।
4 जून के बाद इंडी गठबंधन आज जो 25% सीटों पर बिखरा है, लड़ाई अंदर अंदर लड़ रहा है, 4 जून के बाद वो 100% एक दूसरे के कपड़े फाड़ने वाले हैं, एक दूसरे के बाल नोचने वाले हैं।
Now, it's a very peculiar situation to see allies fight it out in the state of Kerala. But it's not just in Kerala, but also in Bengal that you're seeing this, where the India alliance, the bloc, is actually competing against each other. It's actually the maximum seats in West Bengal, considering what played out between the TMC and the Congress. The Trinamool Congress has said, we're very much part of the India bloc, but they're not with the Congress in Bengal. So 41 seats in Bengal where they're directly clashing with each other. In Kerala, it's all 20 seats that they're fighting it out on. And then you have several other states where the allies essentially aren't seeing eye to eye and will actually be taking each other on. Let's tell you also about what that looks like with regards to Kerala, particularly in all of the seats that the UDF and LDF are squaring on. Let's bring in the next plater on this as well, where we focus completely on Kerala right now. And you'll see essentially that the UDF and LDF have their own allies, but that they continue to fight each other. And there's that particular graphic illustration, the LDF, and we've highlighted for you in red here which parts the CPM is fighting in. They've got their own allies with the CPI and KCM. So they've distributed their seats similarly. Now the UDF has a different alliance going on. So you've got this particular part where the Congress, of course, was contesting maximum, the IUML in 2 seats, the KEC and RSP on each 1 seat each. So internal alliances playing out in Kerala. Otherwise, you have both of them together in other parts of the country. But in Kerala, for the 20 seats, they're fighting it out in every single seat of Kerala. And this really is the challenge as far as narratives go. But otherwise, in Kerala, it remains largely a fight between the LDF and the UDF. Let's talk about also in Kerala, the BJP factor. And I'll get to that also. Let's, in fact, take a look at exactly how the NDA is looking to make inroads in Kerala as well. So what really will it take for the BJP to make an impact in Kerala? There are 2 particular vote banks that the BJP has been wooing. One is the Erava vote bank and the other is Nayars. Now the Erava vote bank in Kerala constitutes about 22% of the population, the Nayars 12%. So that's a big number, and that's what the BJP is eyeing. You see how their numbers essentially have gone up with regards to how much percentage of votes they've managed to get. And that's what they're counting on. Right here is how much the NDA has managed to get. We look at 2014 and 2019. From 36%, it went up to 43%. Now, for the Erava vote, in 2014, it was 23%, whereas 2019, it was 21%. The LDF and UDF also, you see a slight reduction for the LDF. And as far as the UDF is concerned, they've managed more or less to hold on to that vote bank. The BJP is counting on eroding the vote bank from the UDF as well. They've successfully done that to some extent with the LDF. And it will really decide how they perform in this election if they manage to get those numbers going up further. Now, what exactly will it take for the NDA to make inroads in Kerala? Now, we've drawn up a couple of scenarios where the vote share is in fact shared off from the LDF and transferred to the NDA, because that's what largely the BJP is looking to do. But it's going to need a transformational impact really for the NDA to make any difference. Let's say, for example, that 5% of the LDF vote share goes to the NDA. Does that make a difference? No, it's still 0 for the NDA. If it goes 10% up and down, 10% from the LDF gets transferred to the NDA, then that 1 seat that the LDF gets could move to the BJP. Omit this for a second, because 19 seats remain intact all the way through. 15% goes away from the LDF and goes to the NDA. In such a circumstance, only then will you actually see the NDA moving upwards of just 1 seat to 3 seats, which by itself will be history for the BJP, considering, as I told you earlier, the BJP has never managed to actually open its account in Kerala. So 3 seats will, if it wants that, it will need 15%, which is a huge ask from the LDF to be transferred to the NDA. And as, in fact, we get you some of these numbers, let's focus really on how the BJP is doing. And let me take this across also to our election intelligence dashboard to tell you how the NDA has performed right up until now. Now, if you look at really phase 2, and we're focusing particularly on the state of Kerala, the 20 seats, let's take a look at really historically how the BJP has done. And if you look at really the vote share of how the BJP has performed, you'll see, and this is essentially a breakdown of the NDA, you'll see their vote share has been 10%. In 2019, they reached 15%. So they believe that that's their best performance so far. And remember that in this particular case, it's the NDA, which means their allies also have played a crucial role in that number. The UDF with 45%, the LDF with 32%. You look at that number, the UDF has had a stellar track record from 2004 right up until now. If you break that down further into how the BJP has performed, I showed you the NDA. The BJP got 13% of vote share. The BDJS is, of course, their ally, 13% of vote share. What they're counting on is kind of essentially eating into the CPIM vote share and ensure that that number goes up in that form. Quickly, I'll just break down for you also the tally that we've seen so far as far as seat share goes. Look at this number for the NDA. It's been 0 all through. 2004 was 1 seat, not the BJP, but the IFDP that managed to get that 1 seat. This is what they're looking to change. And this is why I say that if the BJP even manages to get 1 seat in Kerala, they're going to be scripting history. But it is an uphill task. 13% was their vote share last time. They're going to need at least a 10% vote share transfer from the LDF for them to actually have an impact on ground in Kerala, for them to actually get a seat. Through the week, we're going to continue getting you all the political action from Kerala and get you more such data and numbers as we come down to polling day in Kerala, which is on Friday. 20 seats up for grabs. Which way will it go? You can track all the latest here on the Election Express Kerala.